Fact is, most traders do fail. I think the stats are about 95%. It's really high. Hey, I think we are live. Hello? Testing. Yep. Okay, all set up. So, hi guys, welcome to the Traders Journal. I'm Marisa, and today we're going to talk about why most traders fail, and of course, most importantly, what to do. And of course, we all want to be in the 5%. So, how do we do it? Well, most traders aren't failing because they're not smart. They're not failing because they can't read their charts. Most of us can agree that our strategies on the charts are pretty simple. It is kind of lines and usually candle bars, colors. It's not difficult in terms of, it's not complicated, but for some reason it's very, very difficult. And the reason most traders fail is because they haven't been shown the one skill that actually matters. And perhaps they have been shown it, but they haven't realized that this is the skill that they need. And if you can fix that, you can actually stop blowing accounts and you can become profitable. So if this resonates with you, it's probably because at the moment you are taking trades you shouldn't be taking. You're jumping into trades too early, and then you find that you're sitting on the sidelines for the trades that are good or the real trades. You're probably jumping from strategy to strategy. You can't quite decide on which strategy to trade. And you're probably often thinking that the answer is another indicator, that there's something on the charts that you just don't have that everyone else has. And it keeps you in a cycle going round and round, really in frustration and without really making progress. But we all want to be traders. That's why we're doing this, because we can see what we can get from it. It's an amazing thing to be able to trade. So it's very hard to give up as well, because we can see it can work. We often feel so close to making it work, but we're constantly stuck. And I did the same thing. Like, I know the cycle very, very well because I did it as well for a very long time. And it wasn't until I realized that it's not about what I knew about the market. It wasn't about me being smart or learning or having knowledge. It was about execution, like how I behaved. And I remember the day I realized this. I think I had known about psychology, and I'd always just, kind of given it a bit of lip service. Oh, I need to work on that. Yes, that's important. Be aware of it. Be aware of it. But I didn't really know how to. I knew how to learn about charts. I could sit down, get a new chart and test it, or test a new strategy. I knew how to do that. I didn't know how to make progress on the psychology side. And the day I realized that I'd had to make change, I'll never forget the moment, because it was during COVID lockdown. We were at home. I was working from home, so I had a lot of spare time because I wasn't doing the 2-hour commute to work. I was working in London at the time, and my commutes were, kind of push onto those trains and be rammed into those trains and tubes with hundreds of people for an hour each way every day. And suddenly we were at home working, and I really loved it. I loved the freedom of it. Obviously, COVID was an unpleasant experience for all of us, but working from home, I really enjoyed. And so I had a lot more time to trade. And I just finished a work meeting. I closed my work computer, my laptop, and I walked over to my couch. My laptop was sitting there, and I opened it up. It was more or less the New York Open. It was about half an hour after the New York Open. I opened my laptop, opened up my brokerage account, and I started trading Tesla stocks. I was trading them on the 2-minute chart at the time. And I took my first trade, and saw some profit, like it ran to profit really quickly, and I closed the trade. And then another one came up. I entered that trade, closed the trade again in profit, and I did a third one. I had 3 trades that morning. I was traded for about an hour, and I had profits, and I was so excited. This has been my best trading day ever, and I was just in that, like, wow, this works. This strategy that I've been trying to make work actually worked, and I was just elated. I was like, okay, this is it. When COVID ends, I'll have enough time to make this kind of my job, and I won't have to go back to my corporate role. I won't have to go back to that horrible commute ever again. And I could just see my future. It's like, I've done it. About 3 hours later, I walked back into the lounge, saw my computer, and I was like, oh, maybe this afternoon will be as good as this morning. Maybe I should just trade. It was not my rules to trade in the afternoon. I was only trading just after the open. And, these thoughts were running through my mind. I was thinking, if I could do what I did this afternoon, I'd have twice as much profits. I would make up all those losses from last week. I'd be in such a good position. And I was just seeing where my account could go, where I'd be next week. I was in euphoria. I was completely out of control. And I started trading. And of course, the first trade ran to the stop loss very fast. So did the second trade. The third trade, I didn't even enter on my entry. I was just desperate. I was now kind of starting to lose my profits from the morning. And I had a session that afternoon that I ran through all my profits from the morning and then doubled that into the negative territory. When I closed my computer, my laptop, and I didn't close it, I slammed it shut. I literally, if I wasn't so scared of hurting myself, I felt like one of those boxers, and I wish that I had the power to punch a hole through the wall. That's how I felt inside. Of course, I think I lightly tapped the wall. I'm a bit scared of hurting myself, I'll be honest. But that I just was in complete disbelief. And I actually said to myself, I said, no more. That's it. And that was the realization I had, that it was like running into a brick wall. That morning, my strategy had worked. I could trade it. And this afternoon, I had absolutely no control over myself. And I knew without a doubt, I was like, if I don't sort this side of me out, if I can't behave properly, if I can't have control over myself and my emotions, I will never become a trader. And I knew it. That was it. My strategy was fine, and I actually then knew that all these other strategies that I had spent hours on and then finally ditched because they didn't work, those strategies would have worked because I'd always behaved like this. I'd always had done a few good things, and then I was out of control again. And it will not work for you as a trader. You have to get control over yourself and how you execute your strategy, because otherwise you will be part of the 95%. And that's what we want to do. We want to get you out of that 95% and into the 5%. The truth is, it's not that hard to do. And it starts with your own moment, like I did when I slammed that laptop shut and I just said no more. It starts with your own realization, your own moment where you just say, okay, no more. I won't go around in these circles anymore, because I will accept that I have to work on mindset and psychology. And it's that exact moment. I mean, it's so, like, I can feel that how I felt. It's so vivid to me, that moment. And that's why I do the Trader's Journal, why I focus so much on mindset and psychology, because it's so important. It will absolutely change your trading. So let's move into what are these. I've got 3 things you have to do to not fail at trading. Okay, so the traders who win, the 5%, can do these three things. Okay, number one is you have to follow a simple rule-based system. Your strategy, your rules on the charts need to be clear, crystal clear. Now, here's the nuance to that. Anything you do in life, it doesn't matter if you're playing sports or playing a game or trading, anything that has rules, you first have to follow the rules and be a master at the rules. And then when you're an expert at something, when you've been doing something for 10,000 hours, when you're a complete expert, then you can start to break the rules and you'll still be fine. You can then find your own way. So when you hear of traders that use intuition or are trading through a feeling on the charts, those guys are experts. You can't be like that off the cuff. You have to start with rules. You have to master rules, and there's a reason for that. So I know if I know you hear this, oh, well, this person trades like that, and that person trades with intuition. Yeah, when you're an expert, when you can do this, when you've got a complete grasp on all of this, you can do whatever you like. You can break the rules. You can create your own new way of doing things. You can, rewrite the rules completely. But this is a fact. You have to start off. If you want to become a profitable trader, you have to start with simple rule-based system. And when I was trading those Tesla stocks, now that morning, I want to say my strategy worked perfectly, but the truth is that my strategy had a great entry point. It had a great exit. Stop loss. So I knew my entry, I knew my stop loss. It doesn't mean I always followed them, but I knew what they were. It was really, really clear. But I didn't have clear exit. And so that morning, it was by pure luck that when I got into profits fast, I closed each trade. And that's just how I felt at the time. I closed those trades and it worked. But I didn't have a clear rule for how to take exits. And because I didn't have a clear rule, it meant that I could decide in the moment, and what it does is it opens up yourself to your emotions. So as soon as you've got to think too much in the moment, your emotions will rush in and start being like, oh, you could make more. Don't take it now. You could make more. The greed will come in. Oh, when it starts retracing a bit, oh, grab it, because, you might never get this again. Then you're ruled by fear. Your emotions will take over and you'll never do anything consistently. So that was pure luck. And because I couldn't replicate it, it drove the cycle that we were talking about earlier. It drove the cycle of constantly making mistakes, constantly either trading with fear, so missing my trades, or trading with FOMO, which is what I did that afternoon, complete FOMO. I was out of control. And lack of rules leads to that. It opens the door to that. It's really important to have rules. So it's kind of like, if you think about it, a football team, a professional football team that's going to take a corner. Now, the plan, the rules of that corner, that how they're going to do that specific corner, is agreed with the team, and they communicate it to each other. And therefore they have a plan and it's clear, and then they try and execute it. Fine, sometimes they get it, sometimes they don't. But if there's no plan, think about those 11 players. Okay, they might not all 11 be in the box for the corner, fine. But most of them, 9 of them, it's chaos. Everyone's running around. They don't know what to do. The person in the corner doesn't know, do they kick to the near post? Do they kick to the far post? Everyone's got different ideas, different feelings about it, and it's chaos. And you're the same. Your brain and everything going on is a bit like a football team in a corner with no plan. It's chaos, and you cannot expose yourself to chaos in trading if you want to be consistent. Okay, so following a simple rule-based system is really important, and it's the first thing to do is just go back through your rules and just be clear. Are they really clear? Do you always know what your entry looks like? Do you always know where your stop loss should be? Or do you sometimes have doubt of should it be there, should it be there? Because what you're doing is you're opening up a door to absolute chaos. You may think it's kind of, okay, well, I could just decide in the moment where my stop loss should be. It should be more or less at an appropriate level. Well, chaos will come in. Anything that's a little bit open-ended will just invite chaos. So go through your rules. It's the first thing you can do. And maybe it seems like a boring activity, but you have to decide to either you're in or out. You've got to either decide that you are not going to be stuck in the cycle of doing bad behavior and behavior that doesn't get you profits, or you're going to start making some changes. Okay, so go through your rules, be really clear what are they, and understand where they're not clear. And a good way to test if they're clear is go and do back testing. And if you can do 10 back testings of your rules and then repeat those 10 exactly, it starts giving you an indication that it's really clear. You can actually see what your rules are. Okay, number one. So number two is you need to stick to routines. You need to start putting routines in place. So when I traded Tesla that morning, I had absolutely no routine. Walking away from a work meeting, opening a laptop on a couch is not a routine. It's very casual behavior, and it meant that in the afternoon it was so easy for me to also just walk in and open the laptop. Now, routine is really, really important because it keeps you in a process working towards a goal, and it keeps you focused on just doing the right things so that you can achieve something at the end. It's a bit like when you want to take up running. Now, running is a bit different because the opposite to trading. When you take up running, you kind of don't always want to go running. You're not quite addicted to the feeling or the dopamine hit of running. So you actually don't want to do it. Whereas with trading, there's a pull towards it. If you make it too easy for yourself, you'll just walk to the charts and start trading because it's fun. There's an element of maybe I'll win big. It's a little bit, I don't want to quite say gambling, but it is a little bit. So trading has this pull that it wants you to do it. Running has a pull that at the start you don't want to do running. But both of them actually need a routine, just a step-by-step system. So for running, if you walk through the door when you finish your day at work, you walk straight to your cupboard, you put on your shorts, you put on your running top, and you go to the front door, put on your sneakers, and then you're out the door. You need to not think about the act of running. You just need to do that routine, because once you're out the door, you will run. And anyone that's taken up running knows that those first few runs can be really hard, and you have to just go down to the basics, the routine of getting ready for running, because it will get you running. Now with trading, it's the routine of what gets you into trading. Because if you have a routine, if I had a routine like I have now, that afternoon picking up the computer would have felt strange to me. It would have given me an extra gap from the overwhelm of just wanting to do it. And I would have gone, okay, I haven't actually followed my routine. Maybe this is the wrong thing to do. I should not do this. Anything that this is like having an edge. Anything that gives you an edge to behave better, you should grab it with both hands. And for trading, you need a routine so that you are going into trading in the right frame of mind, with the right behaviors, with the right attitude. And as your professional trader, I've done other webinars in the Trader's Journal on you as the trader versus you as the person. So go and have a look at those, because you need to have a journey towards you, the trader, at the charts. And it's to protect you, it's to protect your trading, and it's to start behaving like a professional trader. Now, a great book to understand how important routine is to achieving your goals is Atomic Habits by James Clear. And he explains all of this in a book, so it's explained a lot better than I've explained it. But it becomes really clear how important it is to have a routine if you want to achieve goals. And, it's a bit like following a routine or following a process it's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever been to an escape room, but I was in an escape room a few months ago with, we did it as a kind of a family group. I was there with my brother and my sister-in-law and my sister and my other brother-in-law, so a few of us. And there's a timer. You've got to get out of the room in an hour. And there's all these clues, and one clue leads to, will open up something like a safe that you need the next clue for the next task, and it goes on like that. And we were on the last task, and we had read the instructions, and we had found all the clues, but it was a kind of a, like we had to turn a knob 3 ways this way, then go over there and type in a number. And so it was a series of tasks. So if you think of it like a process. And we had a minute on the clock. And my sister-in-law was at the door that once we finished this routine, the following these clues and finishing this routine, that door would open. Now my sister-in-law was at the door, kind of, we were all caught up in the fun of the game, but she was kind of like, I don't want to say screaming, but she was screaming a little bit. She was like, come, we got a minute. And she was basically just screaming at us all that we only had a minute and we had to get this done. And I had to do these things, the step of the series of clues, but obviously I was very distracted by the screaming that was going on. And I had to just go, okay, just focus on step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. I couldn't miss key in a number because I didn't have time. I couldn't get anything wrong on the series of, there's about 4 steps to do. I had a minute and I had my sister-in-law screaming. Now, because the outcome is to get out of the room. So had I joined her and also started screaming, there's no way I could do these steps, and there's no way I could get us out of the room. So we couldn't achieve the goal because she was concentrating on the goal and basically screaming about it. And anything you're doing, like trading, is the same. If you're just focused on the goal of making money, of becoming profitable, of winning a trade, you are caught up in the emotional. You're basically like my sister-in-law, screaming about getting out the room. But what you need to do is focus on the process, focus on the steps with intense concentration. Because if you just follow those steps, you will get to the goal. You will get out of that room. And I knew that. I knew that I had to shut out the thinking about getting out of the room. If I just followed these steps, we would achieve that. But I had to focus on these steps. And routine is a bit like that. It's changing your focus from what you want to achieve, the outcome, i.e. winning trades, becoming profitable, and you're focusing just on the steps, on the routine, on the goals. And this is what James Clear explains in Atomic Habits. It will, if you want to achieve anything, if you want to achieve something to do with exercise, if you want to become like a top runner, or run a marathon, train for a marathon, or even lose weight, or anything you want to kind of achieve that takes a bit of time, same with trading, you need to just follow your routine and get good habits going. And it all comes down to just following step-by-step processes. And that is why for trading, we have a routine. You need a daily routine, and then that will take you into your trading day, and that will then allow you to follow your steps in your trading. Everything becomes very process driven, because when you do that, your goals just will happen. It's like if I solved those 4 steps in that escape room, we would get out of that room, and we got out of the room. It happened, and my sister-in-law was now screaming with delight, basically. Okay, and then number 3 is managing emotions. Okay, now the first 2, following your rules and following a simple, clear, step-by-step rules-based system and following a routine, both of those things are to start getting away from emotions. It's to manage your emotions by focusing on actual step-by-step facts and processes. Everything in trading is about managing your emotions. Okay, and so step 3 is actually managing your emotions, is complete focus on emotions, becoming aware of them, understanding that without managing emotions, you can't trade how you want to trade, because emotions will always override your logical brain. And for me, I I'm going to actually talk about the emotions you have to manage in a moment. I'm going to deep dive into these in a little bit of a coaching session, actually. But fear is something that I've struggled with for. I've always struggled with it. FOMO I got rid of completely, and I'm going to talk about this with you in a second, about how you can get rid of FOMO completely. But I've always struggled with fear, and some of it is with a bit of anxiety. I will have fear or a little bit of anxiety about other things other than trading. So it's just something that is with me. And even in other parts of my life, it's just about managing it and feeling. Sometimes when you're feeling a bit anxious, just going, well, it's not real. Just because you're feeling anxious doesn't mean that there's actual fear around. Just because you're feeling fearful about a trade that you're taking doesn't mean it's real. It's not real fear. It's just you have to trade through that. And just becoming aware of that is enough. You can do a lot of things while you're feeling emotions, as long as you're aware that those emotions are there and they don't stop you from doing things. You can still work through them. So emotions are, don't think or don't try to be emotionless. You are a person. Emotions are really good, and they're good in other parts of your life. And actually fear is a great emotion because it keeps us alive. And that's part of why we can't really control it as well as we can't get rid of fear, because it's a natural human response, because it keeps us alive. It's really good thing. You don't want to be emotionless, and it's not possible. You can't be emotionless, but you can minimize the effect of the emotions. Your emotions over time, the more you trade through emotions, the more you start to become aware of them, acknowledge them, and trade through them, they'll dissipate. Their impact and their power will go away. They won't hold the power over you, but they won't completely go away. But you need to just be aware that they're there, acknowledge them, and then be like, fine, that's fine. And I actually did last week I did a session on the 5 steps of how to manage fear. So you can absolutely manage that. Now, let's have a quick talk about how can you really kind of, it's nice to know what to do, but how do you actually put it into practice? How do you actually fix these things? So the way I fixed it and the way I help other traders fix it now is through coaching. Now, coaching is a bit of a shortcut, and even then it's a bit of a process. None of this is easy. If there was a magic pill I could give you and you could just suddenly be a profitable trader and fix everything, I would give it to you. But trading is hard, and 95% fail mainly because even when they know about these things, they don't want to do it. Okay, so we want to go to the next step and actually go practically. How do you start taking action and doing these things? Now, there's a lot of things you can do by yourself. I've just given you a book to go and read, Atomic Habits. You can go through your trading strategy, look at your rules, go and do your back testing. You can go and look at my webinar from last week and look at the 5 steps of how to manage fear. There's information everywhere. You can start, when you know what to look for, you can go and find the information and start working on it. You can do all of this yourself. You don't need to have a coach like me. You don't need to have help. You can do it yourself. It will take time, okay? So coaching is essentially a shortcut to this, but it's all there. And every week I show up here and do my trader's journal, and I talk about psychology and mindset and tools and how you can start working on it. So the information is there. It's just going to take you some time. Now, with coaching, there's a lot of things to work through ultimately, but trading is, you're going to be hamstringed by 2 emotions, 2 states. One is fear and the other one is FOMO. Fear, we've talked about a lot, keeps you out of trades. It keeps you out of your good trades. It makes you sit on the sideline. It makes you doubt your entries and you start overthinking things, and fear will often make you feel like your strategy is not working and you're going to jump to another strategy because the solution lies there. Okay, so fear is not good. FOMO makes you jump into trades you shouldn't be in. So FOMO was me that afternoon with Tesla. Complete FOMO, completely out of control. Now, fear and FOMO. So FOMO gets you into trades you shouldn't be in, and then it kind of leads to fear, and then you miss the trades you should be in, and then then you've missed trades, so you go back to FOMO, and you're going around in a circle until you decide my strategy doesn't work, and you jump to another strategy. We want to break the cycle. So fear and FOMO, really important. Two sides of a coin, and they keep you going around in circle. And we want to start just balancing that and sitting in the middle without fear, without FOMO. And fear, we've already talked about fear. You can't completely get rid of fear because it's a human part of being human is to have fear, and it's a natural response. And when you feel fear, it actually overrides anything logical. So just because you feel fear when you're about to take a trade doesn't mean it's real, because fear, your feelings cannot assess whether that trade is good or bad. Just because you feel fear has no relevance to it. It doesn't tell you, oh, this might not be a good trade. Fear doesn't understand trading. It doesn't understand your rules. It doesn't understand what it's looking at on the charts. All it sees is there's a risk here to you. You might lose something and you might be wrong and it's going to hurt your ego. Therefore, I'm showing my face. Fear comes up because I'm trying to protect you. That's all fear is trying to do. Fear does not understand if that's a good or a bad trade. Yet, we trust it. We think that fear is an intuition and is telling us something about the charts. It's not. It's totally unrelated. Okay. Now, you can absolutely over time minimize the impact of fear. It will lose its power over you. Great. But you can't completely get rid of fear because it keeps us alive. Okay. The fear that you're feeling when you're looking at the charts is the same as a fear if a snake suddenly came into the room. Then your fear instinct would keep you alive because you might jump out the window or save yourself or kill the snake. You can't get rid of it. It's really good for you. It's keeping you alive. But we want to just be aware of fear and start to minimize it. Okay, let's talk about FOMO. FOMO has no benefits to us as people. It's it's related to a little bit of gambling. It's related to a bit of greed. It's related to, you know, getting back what you lost. It's revenge. Um, FOMO has absolutely no value, but it shows up in trading and it keeps you kind of heading back to making fear worse, and it keeps you just in losing trades and blowing accounts. FOMO is really bad. Now, FOMO, you can completely get rid of it, completely. Um, I I had FOMO really bad, and I don't have it at all anymore, at all. It's completely gone. Now, that's good news. So how do you do it? Well, you start with these things, you start working through yourself, working through all these steps I've given you, your simple rules. Go and read Atomic Habits, start getting processes in place. But this is what we work on in coaching, is we dive into you as a person, and it's kind of a little bit of a 360 view of what is really causing your FOMO and how to get rid of it. Now, you can do this by yourself, absolutely. But the problem is that we can't always fix what we can't see, and we don't always see things within ourselves. And that's why, in all other areas of your life, you would seek advice from people, because you want an objective perspective. Okay, for ourselves, we don't always have objectivity because we're seeing the world from our own view, and so we we're a little bit we're a little bit blind, like blinkered on what we see. And sometimes you need someone external just to hold up a mirror and make us aware of certain things. And that's the main purpose of coaching, is it makes you aware of what's going on with you, and then you can go and fix it. So there are two paths. You can do everything yourself. It will just take a lot longer. Okay, but all the information is out there. With coaching, you generally need about 10 to 12 hours with a coach. And then there's a lot of hours in between your coaching sessions. Okay, it's not full time, but there'll be a lot of time where you're reflecting and realizing things about yourself and going and making changes. So probably about, 50 to 100 hours of working on yourself. But those 10 to 12 hours with a coach speeds that up. And the sped up version is about 50 hours. There's a lot of work, because this is change. This is transformational change that you're making for yourself. But that is the path to becoming a profitable trader. And you don't have to get to the end and then start trading. You can start seeing results after your first few hours of doing this. If you go and read Atomic Habits, you're going to make some good changes. You're going to see those changes in your trading. You're going to see improvements all the way. And I'm kind of talking about, just the standard person might take that long. You might be a lot faster, you might be slower. I was a very slow changer. It took me a long time to realize things about myself, but I had big realizations. And that day on the couch with the Tesla stocks was a big, it's like running into a wall, the realization that this is what I needed to do. And I had already been trying to trade for years at that point. So I'm a bit of a slow person, but once I started working with a coach, it sped things up, because I was also obsessed with it. It sped things up massively. But these are the two kind of pathways you can take. One isn't better for you than the other. It's your choice. But this is, we've talked through following your rules, making them simple so you can follow them. You can't follow something that's not there. Okay, if you don't have the rule, you can't follow it. Sticking to a daily routine and managing your emotions. And it's not, just don't jump from strategy to strategy. Stick to your strategy. It's just become a master at it and start working on these things. So I'm going to end it there. Thanks so much for listening. And if you want to find out more about coaching, then there's an application link below. Otherwise, I'm here again next week, the Trader's Journal. I'm always talking about mindset, psychology, and things you can actively implement in your trading immediately. So it's really practical advice. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you next week again.